Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Savage and today we're going to be having a look at Ethereum. Before we jump to the price action, just want to say thanks for watching. If you're enjoying the content, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description you'll find a link to Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Okay, so we're still looking for further evidence here, that we could be seeing this more bullish response here where this is a 1-2, an additional 1-2 here, looking to push up higher towards this 2277 range for validation of this wave 3. So we do have some potential here that we could be starting to push to the upside, though we have discussed this in the previous video. We need to just be cautious because there are a couple of bearish scenarios still on hand where we could actually look to complete this move either into this high here and then starting to move back down towards some of these key support zones that we have lower down here. And if I just throw those on here, so the immediate one is this yellow one here at this 1726 to the 1660. This would be looking at that potential that, we're looking for that possibility of a 1 and a 2 here. We wouldn't really want to come back down below this, in my opinion, if we're looking for this case. It's become quite big now. This would be the maximum sort of size I want to see for it. However, it is possible that what we could have here is if we do break lower, this could then become a 1. We look for a 2, potentially back into this zone here of this 1604 to this 1469. It doesn't have to come down as low as this 50% though, and sometimes if we are forming a bigger wave 3, we will not get such a deep retracement, and in that case, it might be worth actually keeping an eye out here at the 1660 level as well. So if we do see a corrective move back down here, and we either start to lose this 1660 range, we could look to actually settle somewhere in between here, potentially even towards this low of the 1609. That would be coming back and retesting some of these lower support zones. We are, however, holding support above these highs, so for as long as we continue to do that, we do have that possibility of having a direct breakout here. Okay, so basically, if we are looking at the bullish aspect here and saying that this wave 2 has completed, this is what we want to see play out. Um, Basically, we want to see this play out as a wave 1 into these highs, and then we want to see this start to develop as a bigger 5-wave structure here, looking to actually push towards this 2023 region. So what we were talking about in the previous video is that we could be seeing a 5-wave move down here where this becomes a 1-2. However, we actually have just moved along sideways here, so it's less likely this is actually playing out. And looking at these waves, I'm looking at this slightly different now. There is potential that we could argue that we have a diagonal into this low here. So what we could be looking for rather is something like this to play out, where actually we have this as a wave 1 into here, potentially looking for wave 2, and then we'll look for that third wave to the downside. So the key zone here for rejection would be this 1838. Once you start to break up above this area, it starts to become less likely that something like this can play out. But I am looking out for that possibility that we have 1, come back up here for a 2, and then we have a 3, 4, and a 5 to the downside. And this could then actually look to complete this move as a bigger flat correction, and potentially look to actually complete the move, and we could then be looking at the potential that we have then formed this wave 2. So this is what I'm looking out for here. Form a flat 5-wave structure down here, either back into so these are some of the key target areas. The 1788 would be a running flat location, which actually be back into these lows. This would also this is the 1-to-1 area. So, potentially we could see a move down into this zone as well. That would work out within the structure. And then if we do come down lower, potentially the 1747 to this 1721. So, this would bring us back into this lower support range here, which would be the 1758 to the 1717. As long as we hold above the 1717 and the 1686, potentially we could still look for this possibility of forming a 1 and a 2 here. If we do come back down into this zone, I would be particularly interested to see how we react with this channel that I've got drawn here. Potentially this could actually look to offer us support in this region, and we could look to actually continue to push up within the channel, or alternatively, this could become a 1-2, and then we form a much deeper channel here, looking for this wave 3 towards this 2023 zone. So depending on how low we come here, that'll change that target. Um, and I'm still not convinced that we are out of this corrective structure here. We need to just be aware that there are still, some potentials for some breaking down within this. The alternative way we can look at this, if we are looking at a direct breakout, to say that we've had a 1 and 2 here already, and then we're starting to look to progress. We're looking at this potential of having this as a 1 2 and another 1 2 within here. So the key zones here would be the 1792. The problem with this move is this corrective structure is getting quite large in comparison. So either I want this to have completed into this low here of this 1807, we start to form potentially something like this as a 1 2 1 2, and then we start to get going. But we need to start breaking back above some of these key structures and get back up of this 1846 and get a move on towards the zone of this 1924. So this could then actually lead to a direct push to the upside. So as long as these lows hold, this is still a potential option here. But I don't like how big this area is getting as a consolidation, looking at this as a 1 and a 2. So if we are moving up, basically I'd want to see this start to break up, and start to form bigger 5 wave moves here. I want to see moves back above this 1839, and then we'd want to find support, form a fourth, fifth, and basically form this as a 1 2. All of this move would then potentially become a 3. We'd look for a fourth and a fifth. And then from there, what we'd want to see is, continuation to hold these lows. Potentially seeing something like this as a 3 wave move back to the downside, retesting some of these key highs, and then looking for that bigger push to the upside. So this would be that bullish standpoint, um, and looking for that continuation up. But like I said, we need to be cautious, because as long as we fail to actually take this high point of this 1847, there is that potential that we could continue to see those lower. We'll continue to see a lower here, lower low here in comparison to the 1763, and that could actually lead us into that zone that we talked about, looking at that potential that we could see something like this play out to the downside. So it's going to be key to get back above this 1838. For as long as we fail to do so, I would say it's more likely that we're going to see a continuation in this corrective structure. And then we'll have to see whether, these key zones hold, whether we're looking at this within this manner, where we want to hold the 1758 to the 1717. If we do lose that zone, the next zone below us for a support zone would be the 1726 to the 1660. Obviously, we've got some structure here. This 1686 area would be quite an interesting one to see how we react if we do come back and test this low here potentially. But yeah, we might not even move this low. So we've got to be careful with this. Could see moves down into these lower support zones as well. So these are going to be our key areas. We've obviously got some layers here, so there is quite a lot of fib support below us if we are looking for bullish structure. But these things can break, so we need to just be aware that there is still that possibility of a bigger move down here, where we could look to actually break down and form something like this is a flat correction. So I am on the lookout for this. If we do form a 5 wave structure like we talked about here, looking at this diagonal, what we'd have to be cautious of within this case would be to see whether we form a 5 wave move here, and then whether we can actually manage to break this high. If we fail to break the high, potentially what we could then see is a 3 wave move back to the upside, ABC, potentially coming back, retesting some of these levels here, and then actually looking for continuation to the downside, where this becomes a 1 2 3 4 and a 5, looking to actually push us down lower here. And yeah, I mean, potentially moving us into the zone of the 1645, possibly coming back into the bottom end of this channel and testing some of these lower zones here. So this is what we just have to be aware of. There is always the possibility that within the counts, they're developing in real time. So we can't know what's going to happen. We have a roadmap, but we need to just wait for the market to show us what is going on. The alternative thing that we also need to be aware of, and it's just something that I'm tracking in the background, it's not my preferred count here, but there is always the possibility that for as long as we actually fail to take this 1857 area, we could just have a bigger corrective move up here, and this could still be a 1 2, and then we actually look to break down for a bigger 5-wave structure towards a 1640. Like I said, this is not my preferred count within it, but technically speaking, for as long as we stay below this 1857, it is still valid. So just going to keep an eye on this. If we start to form bigger 5-wave structure to the downside, this could be potentially something that is on the cards. The thing is with this, if we do have a flat as a wave 2, and it has come up quite deep here, potentially this 1618 could get broken if this does develop in a third wave, and we could potentially rather look towards this 2618 here, towards this 1511 area as a wave 3. This is just something that happens sometimes when we do get a flat correction within a wave 2 here. So gonna have to just keep an eye on it. There are a couple of ways of looking at this. Gonna have to just be a little bit patient here and see what the market gives us. But yeah, hopefully with these options, you will be prepared for it either way. As long as we hold these higher zones here, potentially we can look for that direct push to the upside. But really, we want to see some nice clean 5-wave structure developing here to the upside with good volume. If we fail to do that and we just remain choppy here, and then we start to break down in bigger 5-wave structure, then potentially we could see something like this still play out. So that is the more bearish case here, and what we'd have to be careful of is if we do form a bigger 5-wave move down here, we'd have to just monitor how we retrace on that. And if once again, if we do get a 5-wave move and we only get a 3-wave move back to the upside, there is always the potential that this then becomes either an A, a B, and a C to the downside, or alternatively a much more bearish scenario where this becomes 1, 2, and then we get a much deeper sell-off. So these are the things we just got to be aware of. I mean, as long as we hold these support zones, potentially we can look for those direct moves up. But once those start to once those start to break down, then basically we need to just be aware that once we break this in 1611, this idea of this 1-2 falls apart, and then if we do actually break this lower range here of this 1367, we'd have to just treat this as a completed move here, and then we'd have to look potentially for those lower support zones at that point, which would be this area here. If it's fully this 1558 to this 1558 to this 1238 region. Losing 1238 would indicate to me that we're probably going to set new lows here, and that would then be looking for some of these more bearish targets that we talked about previously towards this 723 to this 523 region. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. As well as that, there are affiliate links for BYBIT and PrimeXBT down there. Both great exchanges that we use on a regular basis. If you do not have an account, using the affiliate link does help support the channel, and we do appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.